Hey Sparkly Beans, it's Avery and I am here with a deck review. I haven't done one of those in a while, and I wanted to review the New Air Elements Tarot, which is by, I'm guessing it's Eleonora F. I don't know if it's Piper or Peeper. I noticed that she's German, so I want to pronounce it German, but that's not really a German last name, so I'm not really sure, but Piper, Peeper, I'm not sure which, but that's the author. There you go. So this is a US Games deck, mass market, so yeah, relatively inexpensive. And I've worked with it a little bit. It was actually kindly gifted by somebody that I studied tarot with a while ago, quite a while back. And I had been interested in it and looking at it for a while because I do enjoy kind of like futuristic and or modern decks that are kind of honest about the realities of modern life, and that was the vibe I got from looking at images. I've worked with it a little bit, and it's not really connecting with me, to be honest, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of the deck if you're not familiar with it, and kind of why it didn't connect for me, but it might certainly do so for you. So it's just a standard, US Games deck, this kind of box, whatever you call that, two-part box. Cards are, not my favorite personally, but if you riffle shuffle, you'll probably like these. It's just the like kind of standard playing card looking glossy. I don't know cardstock, so I couldn't tell you the exact cardstock, but it feels like playing cards. These are the backs, so it's a elemental motif. I think the reason this deck didn't really connect with me, and I'll show you some pictures as we go, as I talk, is that it's trying to do a few different things, and for some folks might resonate with the combination, but I think for me it just didn't quite hit. The author has a statement in the back of the guidebook and basically says that her intention was to create a deck that was not too esoteric, that was accessible. Obviously, it's a modern deck. You can see, for example, there's a fighter jet. And also wanted to address diversity, lack of diversity in decks. This was, when did it actually come out? It was definitely, it's been out for a while. Oh, 2018, actually, not that long. But wanted to address, specifically mentioned Eurocentric and some of the gender issues, although I will say that like binary gender comes up a lot in the guidebook, and so I I don't know what my reaction to the gender piece of that is exactly, because I'm not totally sure how this deck is transcending or challenging anything, possibly in the sense that so the courts are family, so their mother, son, daughter, father, and you'll notice earth, so they're the elements as you might expect from the name, rather than wands, pentacles, etc. You'll notice that it is the Thoth titles, although the author does say that she was referencing both Smith Rider-Waite and Crowley. I do like that you get little, and they're fairly unobtrusive, you do get the little symbols. Actually, where's the, oh, it's down, it's kind of hard to see on some of the cards actually. So this is like Sun, and that's Gemini, but it's hard to see Sun and Gemini. You get, unobtrusive little symbols. Here's an easier one to see, Sun and Aries, with the Golden Dawn correspondences. So if you are interested in learning Thoth or using Thoth keywords and astrological correspondences, but not the specific imagery, or you want a more modern deck, this could be a deck for you. For me, what's a little strange about it is, so you have this combination of there's a lot of natural imagery, a lot of animals, and then a lot of technology. And it's not to say that those two things don't coexist. They obviously do. But the guidebook to me has almost like, I don't know if anthropological, like the feel of it is, it's accessible. The language is absolutely accessible, but it's like clearly research. It's clearly the ideas that the creator had for the different cards are coming from, I don't know if it's study for this deck or study outside of the deck, but are coming from, you know, facts about different things. So there are some interesting and like clever animal choices for sure. And there's some, you know, cool like symbolism or cool stuff about the imagery as well. And I find that the combination, it's like you know, you have the natural pieces, and like that could be a deck. And then you have the technological pieces, and the deck definitely has a point of view. Like there's for sure a fair amount of, I want to say confronting imagery, but I'm not opposed to confronting imagery, but there's a fair amount of like modern well, for example, the chariot was the first card, right? Yeah, okay. The chariot there being a tank. You know, some of those choices I'm just kind of like, wow, like it's a very specific point of view. You'll notice in the majors, so this is why I say anthropological as well. Like in the majors, there's a range of different cultural traditions referenced, different figures, different ethnicities. And so the approach to diversity is very specific in that the guidebook will reference, and it will be like, you know, this indigenous tribe used this practice, and so it relates to the meaning, which is interesting. I'm always very like sensitive to, or it's not necessarily a criticism, but like I sometimes find when it feels like an anthropological take on people and traditions, it doesn't always hit me quite right. But some of that I think is my own like projection or her own sensitivity. Not necessarily like, I don't necessarily think any of it was badly researched or anything like that. I just, you know, it's my own sort of preferences. And you'll see like there's, you know, that's a real interesting one. Even the animal energy, you get things like, here's another warning, because this is kind of a confronting image if you are sensitive to animals being harmed. But you get like the interaction of science with animals, for example. And then you'll have, you know, this shows a lot in the water suit. These beautiful like landscape images. And so it's just this like mishmash to me that feels a little odd. The courts are family. Well, it's weird. So the courts are named like their families. It's son, daughter, mother, father. I was like, what goes with mother? Another mother. No, wait, father. It's odd because the fire suit, when I was reading the guidebook, actually, fire came first, and I thought it was going to be like each suit was an actual family, because all the fire court members are Maasai, but then the water court are all Maori except for one person from Hawaii. And then the air suit is 2 Chinese, 1 Japanese, and 1 Mongolian person. And then the pentacles, funnily enough, or the earth rather, funnily enough, I did laugh at this. Is white people, because the explanation for that is because we're the people who are most concerned with material resources. So it's funny, like there's definitely a political bent to this that is, you know, critical of oppression, which of course I'm you know, all in favor of. But I guess the way it's depicted, or like the way the point of view comes across, for me just wasn't as workable as a tarot deck. It's hard to, it's almost like, I guess if I want a deck that's like really confronting and about the like ills of modern society and technology, like I kind of want it all to be that. And then if it's going to be a deck that's, but I'm sure there are folks, you know, where like this mix would appeal. It's just, it wasn't really for me. In any event, the guidebook is a good guidebook for a mass market sort of smaller guidebook. Like I like that you get, for every single card, you get information about the art, which I think for this deck in particular is important. And this is why I say, like, it's very clearly, you know, researched. And there's some interesting, let's see if I can find a good example. There's some interesting examples of like cultural practices, of animal metaphor. What is one that I want to use? An example. You know, the majors have a lot of culture reference. Oh yeah, the other thing is that like some of the majors, I found that the interpretations in the guidebook in general, like, they're not, I'm never going to be 100% satisfied, put it that way. But like generally they work okay for me, especially with thoth keywords. But some of the majors I just really didn't like. So for example, judgment is very much a kind of, in my mind, the Christian version of like it's like judgy, judging, not how I would prefer. Oh, here's a good example. So I like the seahorses. I wouldn't normally, like, Two of Cups I don't normally think of love, but I do like this version. If you're gonna do it, I like this version. So the card, and I'm not going to be able to quickly find it for you, but the card shows the dance of a seahorse pair in softly swaying seagrass. During mating, seahorses will join in morning dances until the female passes her eggs to the male for safekeeping and incubation. They continue their dancing rituals while he takes care of the babies until birth. The fact that they spend so much time cementing their relationship has made them a symbol of partnership and commitment. So, you know, you just, they're short, they're very, like, quick and accessible. You get the meaning, you get the little section on the art, and then you get you know, positive and negative keywords as well, the Crowley keyword and the correspondence, the astrological correspondence. So, you know, you'll probably learn something from the book. Probably some of the choices with the cards, you know, may spark your interest. And then there is one spread in the back that is like an elemental spread. But yeah, so I think, like, for overall, it wasn't for me. I mean, also, honestly, like, my decision not to use the deck was more, actually, it was before I read the guidebook. Was more just intuitively, it wasn't hitting me than anything particular, but I wanted to kind of, like, share some of the things that I found in the guidebook that weren't, like, maybe quite to my taste, as well as some of the things that are interesting. I will also say, like, the style, the art style, these drawings, like, they're great, you know, drawings, they're you know, quite talented artists. Oh, I like this moon. These are the moonflowers. So obviously a talented artist. The monochrome palette is obviously going to be a, you know, you're going to have a preference one way or the other. The font is pretty easy to read. I'm not a big fan of borders, these like thin borders. I'm like, if you're going to have borders that are that thin, like why do you even have borders? I don't get it. But, oh, here's one card that I thought was really interesting. So these are albatross. I didn't know this. So apparently they separate their nests in such a way that so that their beaks won't hurt the young inside. And so that's for the 4 truce is the Crowley keyword. That's the 4 of air. And oh, note, it is the elemental symbol. So if you don't know elemental symbols on the minors, that might be a little bit of a like non-positive for you. But I thought this was interesting because the idea was that the idea was that an idea needs time to like gestate and be protected. And it's not normally how I think of the rest. Like I think of it as a mental break after the kind of turmoil going through the suit. But I thought that was an interesting take. So like that's one example. One other example there. Anyway, a little bit all over the place but the deck honestly felt a little bit all over the place. So I think this deck could definitely, like, if you like that idea of kind of confronting the realities of modern life with a mix of kind of anthropology and natural metaphor, if you like Crowley keywords and astrological correspondences on the cards, then this is the deck for you. But it's not the deck for me, and that's okay. So I will be back with some more deck reviews, so make sure that you do subscribe to the channel. And if you find this kind of stuff helpful, you can do a quick subscribe to my email list below. You'll find out when new videos arrive, but also when I'm writing stuff on my blog, when I have tarot offerings, when I have other offerings as well. You can find out about that. And if you find this to be valuable, and if you're able and interested in doing so, you can support the channel at the Patreon link below. It is entirely optional support. It is not a perks model. It is really just a way to keep this venture sustainable and to help subsidize for those who are not able to support as well. All right, take care, and we'll see you next time.